cook with love. That's the main ingredients. You have to take your time and do what you're doing and what you're supposed to do. That's what makes your mother such a good cook and your grandmother such a good cook. They cook with love.
We got some octopus that we just cooked. It's going to be prepared and portioned for later on at night. One of the things that I would like to tell Chris is that somebody that put me into loving food or loving this career is my mom, and also an executive chef at the Radisson Hotel, which taught me a lot about, he really opened my mind about the food, the tasting, or how everything smells, how everything should be prepped, and that's when I really wanted to go back into school and learn my culinary degree.
People like sweet, gooey, you know, and just old-fashioned stuff like what I'm doing right now. This is pralines, where you caramelize the white sugar, and you know, you don't just take a shortcut and buy brown sugar. You brown the sugar and caramelize it, and it's just make it good. That's just how it is. It's just good.
Who taught you to love food?
Oh, my grandmother and my mom. My mom was a cook. I have a brother who's a chef. My other sister cooks, and I caters also. And so food, it's sort of like the movie Soul Food. Sunday was Sunday dinner. I mean, and you had everybody's favorite foods, and it's right now we still do that. I come from a family of 9 kids. My mom have 23 grandkids and about 18 great-grandkids, and Sunday dinner is still Sunday dinner.
You know, my family was not a huge food family by any means, but my mother was an opera singer, and she lived in Italy. She had a Fulbright scholarship to Italy in the 50s, and so she wasn't a hugely enthusiastic cook, but what she made she knew how to do really well, and she made marinara sauce, or sort of like a meat sauce, that was just so good. And so what I learned from her was, you know, you don't have to be fancy, but you just have to know what you're doing and do it right. And you know, weirdly, I would say that my interest in food just is kind of self-generated. And I think it also has to do with moving to California. When I was 18 years old, I went to school in Santa Cruz, California, and it was my first experience with a real farmer's market. And that farmer's market just blew my mind. And seeing the quality of the produce, and I mean, I'd never had cauliflower. I didn't even know that cauliflower could taste like that. So I think that the true inspiration was just the amazing produce, the amazing ingredients. And, you know, that really inspired me to become a better cook. And now I'm just a fiend. You know, I want to learn everything I can about food all the time.
I started cooking when I was younger. My parents were in the Air Force. I'm an Air Force brat. So my mom wouldn't make me what I wanted, so I learned to cook myself.
So we have the local sculpin fillets. Sculpin is usually like a 5 to 7 pound fish. You really don't get much yield off of it, but what you do is incredible. It is so sweet. We really enjoyed the sculpin at Humphreys. And here we have the Solar Range salt we put on there. A little bit of black pepper. And we also have some extra virgin olive oil, which is from San Diego. And there we have grilled local sculpin with local tomatoes, local olive oil, all within 30 miles of one another in San Diego County. My mom taught me to love food, and I learned to appreciate food even more so in my travels in Belgium and France.
Voila. Who taught me to love food? You know, I would have to say it all started with, you know, with my family. Everyone in my family is really big into food. Everything's centered around food, and so it was just a natural progression to do that, and it just kind of grew over the years and grew into a really exciting career. So it's been great.
Farmers markets, you can find better food, fresher food. You know who's growing your food. You know who's making your food, and I think that's the trend. That's what's happening. People are starting to realize that. The person who I would give most credit to that taught me how to become a food conscious person would be a lady named Mary. I met her in Washington, D.C. We actually were roommates for a while in a great little situation, and she was just naturally somebody who loved great food, and she introduced me to the first farmers market I ever went to, and I just, over time, without her being like really pressuring or anything, I just learned how she cooked, learned what she did, and it just was through almost like an osmosis where I just kind of took on that, and then later on declared myself more of a healthy eater.
Who taught me? Guy Savoy. That's where I got my ass kicked in Paris. Phenomenal chef, and I suppose the guy that taught me how to run a kitchen and cook perfectly as well at the same time. So yeah, Guy's the man.
Love of food for me was something in the family. My mom, my grandmother, who cooked for me my whole life, I think they taught me what food is, how to communicate through food, how to show love through food, and make food the central and driving point in my life.
I was raised in a family basically with hot dogs and some cheesy pasta that comes in a blue box. Oh, I swear.
Started cooking at an early age. I learned from PBS and shows like the Frugal Gourmet and the Galloping Gourmet and Jan Can Cook and all those shows early on. And kind of have taken the emotion, that flavor for food and transferred it into my adult life, and here we are.
Really grew up in the restaurants, and most of our family dinners were had at a table at the Point Lumber Brigantine, which is where I grew up, and that was the original Brigantine. We had a lot of our family dinners, probably 2 or 3 a week. Chefs get their passion. I think it's all different areas. Some people, maybe they had an experience early on where they tasted a meal that was just out of this world, and they figure out, gosh, how do you prepare that? Other people, they've come up, they've started as a dishwasher, wanted to learn more about the restaurant. So whatever made that light go on in their head, typically it is a passion, and that's really what drives people in this industry. It's not easy. There is glamour sometimes, but it's really a lot of hard work behind the scenes. So it's really that spark, and different things spark different people. I think for me, being around it, seeing that people are out to have a good time, and you get to have a good time with those folks, what better place to be than in a restaurant?
I would say, well, first my love of food came from my mom. I grew up eating fantastic meals. We would actually have 3-course meals at home. Professionally, while working in Denali, Alaska, I worked with a chef named Laura Cole. And she taught me how to work directly with farmers and how to plan menus based off what was coming out of the ground and what was really going to be the best thing to eat.
I've always loved food. You know, definitely goes back to my parents and grandparents when I was young. You know, cooking is something that I've always been interested in. We are in the pit rooms of Big Bob Gibson Barbecue, and right behind us we have some hickory, basically a hickory pit. We cook with hickory logs. We'll build a fire on one side and we'll draft the heat and the smoke across whatever we're cooking. Today we've got whole split chickens. We cook about 50 or 60 at a time. They're in about a mid-stage cook right now. It's going to take about a 3.5 hour cook time on the chickens before they're perfectly done. But barbecue is patience. It's time, it's patience, it's love. It is, you can't get in a hurry when you're cooking barbecue. As a matter of fact, you can't get in a hurry when you're cooking any type of Southern food. We're just back here and enjoying it, getting ready for a dinner service.